How we doing, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Wolf, and welcome back to, I don't remember what episode we are, if I'm genuinely honest. We're in the 30s somewhere, 32, 33, and I'm not entirely sure. It has been a little while. It's been about a week or two since the last episode. That's because the Synthesis League has started recently, and with that came a few additions, let's call it that. Essentially, the Synthesis League currently is kind of trash, I'm not gonna lie to you. So I'm waiting for like a rework to come out on it. It should be out within the week or the next week from now, and that will hopefully make the league quite a bit better. And I'll be able to put out a beginner's guide on it because the current iteration just isn't really rewarding enough. However, I wanted to kind of wait a little bit on this series because, well, there's two things I want to tell you and kind of showcase to you. I can't really do it just yet because we have to go a little farther before I can show you what ends up happening. But they added betrayal content, which was the previous league, to the main game now. So that is, of course, in core. I will, of course, be explaining that as we get to it. However, it's an extremely complicated concept, and right now, technically impossible for me to explain because there's also a bug tied to it. Essentially, very specific people have been affected by it, and I am one of them. Essentially, what happens is when a betrayal intervention, or an assassination attempt, because it's one of the things they can do, something I'm not a fan of personally. I'm sure you've heard this in previous videos, or, in current content that I've made. I'm not a big fan. However, when they appear, your FPS absolutely tanks, which is, frame rate, for those of you who aren't aware. My game will drop to 0 FPS and I can't kill them because my game's frozen, basically. It will recover eventually after 10 to 20 seconds, but they hit so damn hard that it's most likely just gonna be me dead. So as a result, I kind of wanted to not so much put off, but like wait on the series because Betrayal doesn't start showing up until Act 9. And of course, we're in Act 8 and I'm probably going to speed cut to Act 9. And I'll show you how to do that. So I'll be starting doing Act 9 content very, very quickly. Most likely within the next episode or so, because I want to get the blood aqueducts and show you guys how to do that farm and that sort of stuff. However, as we progress through Act 9, we will find Betrayal NPCs. That will most likely be a little bit from now, but I did want to kind of wait it out to see if they could patch it. And it was what, the 8th when it came out? We're almost 3 weeks deep now, and they tried to patch it and they made it worse. So I figured at this point, if we're gonna go for it, I might as well just go for it, right? Because yeah, if it's not gonna get patched, then fuck it, whatever, I'll just endure. But I wanted to kind of wait so I could explain betrayal content. I can try my best to, nonetheless, and I do have a guide on it for those curious, a guide that I do still stand by. And it fills pretty much all the information. However, when we get to Act 9 and that becomes prevalent, I'm sure you'll know and I'll be able to showcase it to you. But yeah, that's why I've kind of been waiting out things for this series and, this video and that sort of stuff. Is because Betrayal is kind of whack right now. And I like explaining league mechanics and content and that sort of stuff like I did with Betrayal and Incursion and all that. And it's difficult to do when they spawn and your game fucking crashes. So yeah, I was kind of waiting out to see what would happen and if it would get patched out or not. However, since that hasn't happened yet, oh fuck, I need to comment on that too. Since that hasn't happened just yet, that yeah, I don't remember where I was going with that, but whatever. Anyways, after a league rollover, so in our case, Betrayal League ended, right? And Synthesis started. Now, when leagues end and leagues roll over, you get a full passive skill tree reset for characters in solo self-found, or for characters in standard. Let's just call it that, because I'm in, of course, solo self-found standard. Everything will migrate downwards to standard. My face cam is being adjusted by the light outside, so that's fun. So essentially, everything in Betrayal League from previously moves over to standard. Or in my case, it would move over to solo self-found standard, but I migrated it to normal League, so it wouldn't affect this series and wouldn't affect this character, for concept and showcase. However, when that happens, you get a full passive skill tree reset because they add new nodes to the skill tree. So the character you are playing may potentially not be able to take the same path, because I'll show you on my path of building right here. They added new nodes like this cluster right here. Let me zoom in real fast. This one is a channeling skill area, right? And they changed the elemental node cluster here. Remember how there used to be the what is it? Elemental fire pen and just fire damage nodes? Yeah, so now it's completely different. It's Fizz is extra fire, elemental, fire spells have conversion, Fizz damage. And this goes for all three notables. So as a result, the skill tree is a little bit different, and things will be kind of reworked. Thus, we're able to fully reset all of our passives if we would like to. However, we didn't actually get there just yet, so it's not the entire end of the world. I'm still trying to kind of remember where I was in regards to the skill tree and what I want to do. With currently playing Text Slam, I do know one thing I want to do, which is go and get full fire conversion via Avatar of Fire, which is probably going to be my next goal. Or alternatively, go and get this life. I'm not entirely sure. Excuse me. Opting for Divine Fervor is also an option. And because I was playing Juggernaut, getting the endurance charges is quite good. So I think I start going up. I should probably go up this way to get AOF. Alternatively, I go down through here and cut here, but I probably shouldn't do that. Just the point here. This one should have been down here, and then here and cut through there. I am trying to kind of plan around. Yeah, this should have been down, because if we're going to be playing Text Slam currently, that's the way that should have been. So let's do a quick little refund point change. Now, when you lock in your skill tree, it will force lock in everything. So do be warned, if you do want to reset your skill tree, this is the one chance you get. If you go to lock in anything or refund anything or anything like that, it will eat up your passive skill tree reset. I'm confident in what I've got here. I'm pretty sure, right? Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty confident in what I've got here. Alternatively, I could go up this way, but I do want this life anyways, and I want this AoE, and I want to get Avatar of Fire for my current scenario to up Text Slam, because I know a lot of people were enjoying the Text Slam playstyle. So we're going to accept that, refund out this one passive very quickly, so I can grab myself Divine Fervor to up my damage by a little bit. Now, alternatively, the next steps I'm going to go for will most likely be the Life, Retribution, AoE. Alternatively, to go up the left-hand side up here, up to Avatar of Fire, because then that lets us opt for loads of elemental damage, because this will fully convert my Text Slam to Fire. Then from there, I can go and get Elemental Overload, which makes it so if I use my 5% crit chance and get an extra crit, I do 40% more multiplicative elemental damage. It's most likely what we're going to be opting for, as well as grabbing the endurance charge on the side, because we are playing Juggernaut, which, you know, Juggernaut makes us nice and tanky, and then getting unyielding eventually will give us a ton of AoE. Let me up my face cam stuffs real fast, so I don't look like I'm hiding in the darkness, albeit I kind of am, but that's another story for another day. Anyways, now, I did get us the Sun Orb the last time. Let's make sure I'm fully scrolled out if my mouse wheel wouldn't mind. There we go. And let's finish turning in all of our quests. I need to clean up my inventory. That's actually well rolled. That's quite well rolled, actually. That's being saved. Fire, lightning, elemental. What are my resistances looking like? Fire cold is the option, if you wouldn't mind. Fire cold, there we are. Let's pray that's something decent. Fire cold on top of fire cold with mana and energy shield. Not bad, not the greatest, but not bad. Let's vendor everything else I've got here, and we can kind of be on our way. Don't think I need a mana flask anymore. A 4-link sword is nice, but I prefer my current Rigwalds. Keep the Divine Life Flask for now, because that'll be useful later on. Mana reserved, huh? I didn't even know that existed. I will be keeping it, however. That could be useful later on. And let's put that there. Bank all of our currency. I would highly recommend a currency tab. Sadly, the sale just ended recently, which kind of sucks. However, PS4 Path of Exile did also just recently come out, quite literally today. So that's an eventful moment. And yeah, that's got added fizz, so I have to kind of keep that. Life and strength, I'm most likely going to switch that out. Now my lightning will take a bit of a hit, but capping the other two is fine as well. Okay, so the biggest thing about Act 8, as I was explaining, I believe, in the previous episode, is your freedom of which direction to choose. You can go left, you can go right. Now, both sides do have a skill point quest associated. Left-hand side has 1 in here, and the right-hand side has 2. It has 1 in the first area, the Quay, and then 1 in the next area, the Grain Gate. You're looking for the Gemling Legion. Now, I'm going to dip back to do these when my character's a little more geared and a little more farmed up. Because where it is right now isn't horrible, but I would like to get a sort of basis for the character, get him to roughly 73 and make him nice and durable and tanky, and get a nice weapon. And then we can come back and get these passive points afterwards. This is some sort of tech that I've learned recently, because I like getting to Blood Aqueducts and then farming for a little while. So we're going to go from the Lunaris concourse here, and cut across the Harbor Bridge to get to the other temple on the other side, to get the Sun Orb that we need. Then come back here, kill the boss in the center, and go through to Act 9. When we eventually get to Act 9, I will then show you Blood Aqueducts runs and the farming scenario that will ensue. I'll show you basically basically how to go about farming and speed farming through Blood Aqueducts runs. They're pretty simple to do. They're not exactly rocket science to go up and down an aqueduct over and over. But it can yield you some very good rewards, as well as a div card set that will give you a 6-link chess piece. However, that 6-link chess piece has no stats, so you gotta kind of, you know, think about it, right? You can have the 6-link that gives you a ton of damage, but you'll lose your resistances, your life, that sort of stuff. So it's not really as great. It's more of a leveling piece or a substitute. You have to forgive the coughs. I am still a little sick. But I'm trying my best. I also have been playing a lot of different characters recently, so I need to remember what flasks I've got going on here. That's freeze, poison, crit. Okay. Sounds simple enough. I need to put MTX on this guy, man. Okay, I think I'm just gonna most likely leap through here because we are, well, not so much on level, but not the worst. This Tech Slam isn't actually doing too bad, if I'm entirely honest with you. Some extra AoE could maybe go a long way. I've seen Tech Slam builds that take up like the full screen and then like half of another screen. It's pretty insane. You can get Elder and Shaper weaponry, which is something I'm going to cover a little bit later on. But essentially, they're weapons item types that can roll certain rolls that other items can't. And there's one that gives you AoE per 16 strength or something like that, which allows you to strength stack and get massive AoE. And the build that I saw had like half of the screen taken up with Tech Slam. Well, he had his full screen and then half of the next screen taken up via Tech Slam. It was pretty funny. Alright, we're gonna run past these. I would stop for Alva, however, I would rather get to Blood Aqueducts if I'm going to stop the farm. Just stopping for big packs via Tech Slam. Getting some good clear in here. Very efficient clear as well, surprisingly. There is a lot of current issues with melee, but, you know. So for those of you who haven't been paying attention to patch notes or don't know what to read in patch notes, I know that's definitely a scenario for a lot of players. I know even for me sometimes. I look at patch notes and I see things and I go, okay, I don't really know what this means, but I know it means something. The most recent updates that have been happening is that the current league has been heavily based around spell casting. And spell casting reworks and such. And supposedly, melee is going to be up in the next league. However, they said that, and then they also nerfed melee this league. Well, they didn't nerf it directly, but they nerfed a lot of things, excuse me, that melee uses. So, in the recent patch notes, what was it? Leech has been changed very heavily, which is a healing mechanic that melee has gotten quite used to. So that kind of sucks. Grab that waypoint while we're here as well. So that kind of sucks. Our healing has been kind of cut heavily down. As well as Hatred, the aura that I'm using to boost my DPS by quite a bit, got nerfed by about 20%. By 20%, I mean on the skill itself, not just a 20% nerf. Because Hatred used to be 36 Fizz is extra cold or something like that. It's now like 16. So it's a pretty hefty melee nerf. So for those of us living the melee life, we're now in the 1% because everyone's currently playing Spellcaster. Albeit I do still enjoy my melee character. These are the sorts of things that it makes it kind of weird when you look at Path of Exile patch notes, you know? Especially as a new player, you'll look at it and go, I don't know what any of this means. However, you kind of want to start looking for pieces of it that relate to you or relate to your builds or your playstyle. So in Melee's case anyways, I realized that Hatred got nerfed, which sucks. Tomb Fists, which were a piece of armor that a lot of melee characters used, got their attack speed removed from them, which kind of sucks, and it makes my Tomb Fists now legacy items, which is pretty funny. But these sorts of changes will slightly affect melee. It's more, you'll realize what affects your playstyle the more you play and the deeper you go. However, it's useful to kind of look at things and try to be able to figure some extra stuff out, right? And as you can see, we are in the Solaris Temple level 1 because we cut across. This lets us speed our way through to Act 9, which is very, very useful. Now, of course, we are missing out on the skill point quests, but I will go back for those, and most likely do an episode where I go back to get them. Let's grab that 6 socket. Go back to get them, as well as get the 2 other Izaros that I need to get, or the trials, I just call them Izaros, to get my Ascendancy points, because Juggernaut Ascendancy points are very, very useful, and will give me 6 times 5 math. So, like, that's... I'm not gonna fuck this up for the recording, am I? I don't know. It's a number. I think it's like 25. Probably fucking wrong. I haven't done math in a while. Gives me a lot of AoE. So that's quite nice. As well as grabbing the AoE node in the skill tree. Will also be very useful and make my Tech Slam cover a lot more of the screen, which will be wonderful. Let's not, instead. Let's make sure I keep my Basalt Flask up, my Granite Flask up, and keep my War Chief going. I need to link my War Chief up to Culling Strike, if possible, at some point. Essentially what Culling Strike does is it makes it so if it hits an enemy below 10 or 20%, it just executes them, which is fantastic. So if I can manage that, it would be great. Imperial Fields, nope, that is not where I want to go. That is the other side. I also need to start rolling my flasks to more of my endgame loadout. Once I get to Blood Aqueducts, I'll be doing a lot of farming there, and opting to start getting my final flask loadout. I don't know the exact layout in here, by the way. I do believe it's up from like the doorway here. I believe this is correct from my experience so far. Once you find the waypoint, you are on the right path in the Solaris Temple, because from the waypoint, following straight up from it will lead you to the level 2 floor. Now, I will warn you, what is it? You need very good resistances in here, or you're going to get flopped heavily. I find that whenever I level characters, or speed level characters through here, I die very, very quickly, because I'm most likely resistance nuked due to Katava and that sort of stuff. So do be warned. There's a reason that I grabbed the Fire and Cold Ring, because it caps my fire res, and you see, I'm taking a lot of fire damage. If that wasn't capped, I would be having a very, very bad time right about now. So these are the sorts of things you can kind of look forward to, I guess, or plan around. The left-hand side of this act is a lot more difficult, so I prefer to do that first and just kind of tough through it, you know? However, that's just me. You can take whichever side you want first. The left-hand side boss is also a lot more difficult, in my opinion, and is more prone to, like, one-shotting you. The mechanics of the right-hand side Solaris Temple is a lot simpler. It's essentially just a tank-style boss with an add phase every now and then. Man, having a long-lasting cough is pretty shit. Would not recommend. But, yeah, so when you're in Act 8, it's kind of a shit show, if I'm honest. The start is very heavily poison-based, Then the left-hand side is very heavily cold damage based, and then the right-hand side is all fire damage based. However, if you're kind of on a character you don't really trust or believe in type of thing, I would recommend going the right-hand side first. I need that Chain Sword, because it is a lot safer in my opinion. It feels like it does less damage. And then cutting across to the left-hand side, and then going to get the boss in the center, whilst getting to Blood Aqueducts afterwards, and let's not get one shot. And then farming to make your character a lot better. Because we are currently in, you know, like, ghetto leveling gear. So hopefully within an episode or two, our character will be a lot better. Let's grab that. That's our first map, I believe. So you're going to find these once you start getting to Act 8 and Act 9. These won't be of relevance until you finish the game in Act 10. However, collect them anyways, because you'll be making use of them in the endgame content. I can't open my atlas yet. I wanted to see if I could showcase it to you. But the endgame content is a little bit scary when you first look at it, but I shall try my best to explain it to you. So no worries there. If you come across any maps of any kind, I recommend stashing them and keeping them for later use, which is why I recommend you grab a map tab during the currency sales. I have a line down my face. That's how it goes. That is fucking annoying. It's right in the center, too. Like, seriously? Seriously, man? Alright, whatever. I'll sit my ass over here, then. Yeah, as I was saying, I would recommend you grab a currency tab, because a currency tab, map tab, and a div card tab are like the best options. Map tab will save you a lot of space because you'll be carrying very, very many amounts of maps. Alright, so, boss mechanics. Lots of fire, essentially. You can avoid his beams very easily. You can also avoid the beams from the eye, the orb up here, very, very easily as well. Or you just, you know, stand in it because you have multi-strike up. But yeah, Rain of Arrows will then summon ads afterwards. Animated swords. Not really an issue unless you're playing a squishy spellcaster. Then it could be kind of an issue. But yeah, watch for the beams. I recommend not standing in them. Of course, I've made a rather tanky character. However, I've been playing squishier mages recently because of course, as I was saying, the mage reworks and the mage buffs and such, making life a little bit more enjoyable for the spellcaster player. So I decided to play a little bit of that. However, those types of characters are very, very squishy. So I've been adapting to playing the, you know, the not face tank life. However, it's a little awkward because I'll be flame dashing into packs and I'm like, wait a second, I shouldn't do this, and then subsequently get one shot on stream. So that's always fun. But yeah, these swords will do a decent chunk of damage. Try not to get absolutely destroyed by those. Having a totem, whether it's a decoy totem or a war chief up, will pull some aggro from them, as well as AoE them down while you kite around. So you'll see that while in this current scenario, all of the swords attack the totems. If they're attacking me, obviously the totem will keep whacking at the swords and kill them while I'm running away. Not everyone is going to be running a totem, of course, so we do have to plan for that. I might get one shot. Yep, I looked away. That's what I get. We're playing in softcore. Let's abuse that while we can. I don't know if that was our first death. I don't think it was. It might have been second or third. I'll slash deaths after the fight, but that's what I get. I looked at my side monitor for a second. Do not look away in boss fights. Would not recommend. Grab the Sun Orb, and now you can portal out or log out macro or log out or whatever you want to do. All of the above work. I'm going to portal for, you know, simplicity's sake. Let's just call it that. And then now we want to aim for the Harbor Bridge. Now the easiest way to get here is either run backwards from the Solaris Concourse, run backwards from the Lunaris Concourse. Either work, either will get you there very, very quickly. If this is the layout I think it is, it should just be right over here. This is probably the faster way to go about it. Normally, I run from here and then just run backwards. You'll find the door here as well. And essentially, here you want to go to the center. This act is a lot about bossing. It's weird. There's two bosses, and then you're basically at the final boss of the act within like 3 seconds. So yeah, it's a little bit of an odd one. Either way, this is a boss I'm really not a fan of. because I find it as, well, the way I kind of look at it is the guardian to fun, or the guardian to my own enjoyment, where I can get to a point where I can farm, but that's right behind the boss we're about to go kill. So, kind of blocks me out on a lot of characters, but that's how it goes. Let's make our way up here. There's a lot of stuff here, jeez. Alright, ow, let's not do that instead. It's been a little while since I played this character. You have to forgive me for dying during the multi-strike life. I need to keep my flasks up now. Let's hop my way down here. I try not to take on the entire world in one fight, if possible. Alright. Need to kind of move myself back so I don't multi-strike to the stuff below me, if possible. Let's hop down here, though. That's a nice pack to cleave. There's a map. There's an Orb of Regret. I mean, I don't really need regret orbs because I could have refilled my whole skill tree, but still, thank you. I appreciate the sentiment. Hop back up here, grab that. Keep a look around for any 4 links or anything. Those are okay, but not really something I feel like using. Of course, my Rigwald's Charge is a very good option right now, so that will do weapons-wise. I'll be looking to create a endgame Vol Axe, if possible, once I get 2 maps and later game content, because that's one of the better weapon bases. If you guys don't know what I mean by weapon bases, do feel free to look at my crafting video that I've done recently on, what was it? Chess pieces, I believe. There'll be one coming up relatively soon on weaponry crafting, although I will showcase how to go about that in this series very, very soon to try and create some endgame weaponry. The Sky Shrine right here is what we are looking for, and this boss absolutely sucks. I'll showcase as many mechanics as possible, but don't be worried about dying here because this is the boss that killed my hardcore character, I believe. It was either this one or Deirdre, one of the two. Whichever one you kill first, I believe, will go up on this pedestal and become unattackable. Yep, and you'll have to deal with the other one. So in our case, we've got to deal with the Sun boss, while the Moon boss rains down meteors that one-shot mages. But yeah, Sun boss is very easy to deal with. The Lunaris boss, I'm not a big fan of personally. Don't stand in the beam, it's bad. Don't stand in the circles either, and don't stand in the infinity symbol, the thing that she drops on the ground. It hurts quite a bit, the infinity symbol meteors, as I'm sure you can see. Don't get speared, very simple. You'll see an animation coming from the Sun boss to telegraph a lot of the attacks. There's one attack that will very heavily screw you up. I'll show you when it happens. He'll take a knee with his spear, and things will get very, very bad. Alright, he's going to portal up there. Now we've got to deal with the Sun boss up top, who will light certain portions of the room on fire. Not exactly something I'm a big fan of, but that's just how it goes. Don't stand in it. It hurts a lot. Totems in it is fine. I don't think they take any damage from it. But I wouldn't recommend situating your character in there. 0 out of 10, fire hurts. By the way. Let's drop my totem in there. And that beam isn't really that much of an issue. It does a little bit of damage, but it's not as bad as standing in this. So, if you've raided in WoW, you'll know the memo of don't stand in the fire. Applies here too. Alright, it's pretty much just tanking at this point and making sure I don't die mid-leap slam. Done that before, not fun. Come on, drop the totem. There we go. You can kind of see the wind up for when it's going to spit fire on the floor. However, I don't really have much in the way of options because of multi-strike. I could have switched it off, but it's such a damage increase for us. I'd rather not. Alright, they should switch soon, I believe. Let's just tank our way through until then. The Lunaris boss doesn't really have many mechanics to worry about. She's just gonna throw stuff at you, and if you get hit by it, it's gonna hurt. That's basically most of the boss mechanics. So do be warned. There's the attack I was telling you about. The spear will split off, and if you're on a character with like below 1.5k health, you're probably gonna get one-shotted. So be careful in regards to that attack. However, there is a massive wind-up that you can see. You can see that I called it while I was barely even looking at my screen. Gotta check that the recording is doing all good. There it is again. You'll see him plop his spear down, stand directly behind him, and you will never get hit by the attack. There we go. I'll show you again. As you can see. stand directly behind him, and there is zero problem whatsoever. When you are dealing with the Lunaris Meteor thing, just don't stand in the center of where it started casting. See? And you should be okay. Mechanics-wise, it's pretty simple. It's just everything hits really hard. So if you make a mistake, you're going to feel it very, very badly. As you can see, I am actually fire res capped as well. I'm over-capped on fire res. And 2 ticks from our man's beam here does a lot of my health bar. So you can only imagine being under-capped on fire res and being stuck in his beam or being hit by his spears. I have done it very many times, and I would not recommend it. Stand behind him. Like so. Him, he, she, I don't know. It's 2019. You can't assume genders. You'll get in trouble for that. There we go, one more time. And avoid that. While not standing in whatever that black circle is. Also not a fan of that. As you can tell, I need to get better damage. I need to up my DPS, that's for sure. And they swap. Don't get hit by projectiles. We gotta work through your boy here. That attack will also do a lot of damage to you. However, the Golem tanked it, which is wonderful for us. That Golem is a champ. This is the advantage to having a Golem plus a decoy totem. Because a lot of act bosses will just attack them for whatever reason. And it'll absorb a lot of damage from you. However, also if we're playing with a cast when damage taken Golem setup, your damage, words are difficult. When your Golem dies, he'll just respawn and keep tanking damage for you. You can also do a cast when damage taken, what is it? Decoy totem setup that works as well. Ah man, this is what happens. I don't have any blackout curtains up, so my face cam is getting very heavily lit up. That's the problem. But such is life sometimes. Not in the ideal recording scenario, but I try my best. I accidentally turned my hatred off. That's awkward. That's awkward. Let's wait this mana out real fast. I need a mana flask, apparently. Anytime now. There we go. Alright. I have enough mana leech that one smack will refill me. Pretty simple. And we should, if everything pans out, be able to do this deathless, which will be grand. Considering I died on the Sun Orb, which, wouldn't recommend either. God, I hate being sick, man. It sucks. Okay, let's not look away from my screen. Anytime now. This is why I need Culling Strike. It works on bosses as well. There we go. So now he's going to come back down and unlock a new attack, which isn't really that fun, but not that bad. Let's not stand in the beam. This will change the phase, or change the attacks and stuff depending on which one you kill first. I always normally end up with the fire boss down here, which is pretty easy to avoid. I don't remember exactly what the lunar boss does, but probably nothing good. I can only assume. While he's up in the air, you can actually still damage him. It's not like the Chavrone fight or anything like that, where you can't damage him at all. And you can still squeeze behind him even in the smallest of corridors, like so. God, I am ascending. Ow. My face cam is getting very, very bright. Very many bright. This is the power of the sun. The sun boss is shining through into real life, it seems. That's how it goes. Alright, let's just tank him down anytime now. Ow, let's not instead. Long boss fights with low DPS. The struggle. We'll get there. So the plan is, after we kill this boss, we're going to wind up in Blood Aqueducts, and we are going to farm as much as possible to try to make very good weaponry, and try to aim for, hopefully, a decent unique drop. Normally at this point, you can just start farming and buckle down, throw like Netflix on your side monitor or something, and just kind of see what you get. We can hunt for a few different things. We can hunt for build-defining uniques to opt for a reroll, potentially. That is not going to be in the cards for this series, but is something you can do later on. You make a very fast speed farming character, i.e. like a Tailwind Deadeye type thing. There we go, so I can readapt this fucking thing down very quickly. This is how it goes in my current recording scenario. Bam. Alright, I'm normal again for however long. As I was saying, we can talk to Sin. He'll give us a Pantheon. I'll deal with that soon as well. Set up our Pantheons here. And we're through to the Blood Aqueducts. This is a level 61 area that I normally farm until about level 73. I'll be showcasing that in the next episode. However, if you want to go about farming this area, it's very, very easy to do. You run all the way up Blood Aqueducts and get to town, and then you can control-click the door, or you can control-click from the waypoint. I'll show you what I mean. Up here, your waypoint, you can just, control-click new over and over and over again, and you run through this area. It's level 61, and we'll let you level all the way. I believe you can go to 100 here, if I'm entirely honest, if you want to. I generally farm to about 73-ish here. But yeah, in the next episode, I'm going to be showing you some Blood Aqueducts farming, probably about 20-25 minutes worth of it. And then I'm probably going to off-stream, or not off-stream, but like off-recording, farm to about 73, and then I'll give you a recap of everything that I came across or everything that I dropped. And I'll save a lot of the gear crafting or that sort of stuff until that video, and we can do that there. Because now we're kind of reaching the endgame portion, or where I consider, okay, the character's now at endgame, now we go about getting gear, we go about doing Atlas stuff, endgame style content. So it's going to be interesting for the series, for me adapting and learning how to do that. But I believe I can figure it out, and we'll kind of roll with it. So the plan's going to be do a lot of fucking whatever, solo self-found stuff while I can, and then when I hit a point that I feel I can't do it anymore, I will go to Trade League, and we can buy ourselves some gear, and I'll showcase, fucking words are hard today, man. I'll showcase how to go about buying gear and upgrading your character that way. I'm going to show you as much as I can of how to do things yourself, and then when I have to rely on other people and other people's gear, I'll show you how to do that as well. Well, that's going to be all from me in this episode. When I come back, we are going to be doing some Blood Aqueducts farming and praying we get some good loot and potentially a Vol Axe that I can craft and get some very good rolls on. That's going to be all from me, and as always, take care, lads.